everybody, this is Maria with Texture and Shimmer. Welcome to the art box for the Druzy heart. When you order this art box, you will be receiving some items. First, you'll be receiving this acrylic heart, which is double-sided with film. And when you first start, you will take off the top piece of film so that you can decorate it with resin and sand and the marker. And then when you're done later on, after it's dry, you will be able to take the back film off later on. So that's handy. It helps with the resin drips. If you end up having any resin drips, then they will be on the film, the little sticker film that will come off easily. I'll show you later. Okay, then you'll be getting a gold acrylic paint marker that you will use to work on your Druzy heart. You'll also be receiving a mixture of both iridescent white glitter and sand. So I will pre-mix it and put it in this little plastic baggie for you. But that's what you're going to use to make the Druzy part on the heart. And then you'll also be receiving one agate slice. Here's the size of the one that I used in my sample. It's pretty small. I've already used the marker to outline it in gold. You have the choice when you order the box whether you want to receive a small one, this blue small one, or you can choose one of these larger ones. This one is natural color beige or light brown. With the edges are not painted, you will do that yourself. Or this green one that's also not painted yet, or this pretty aqua blue color right here. So yes, you'll get to choose the one that you would like from the selection available. All right, stay tuned for the tutorial coming up next. Thank you. Okay, so first up is mixing the resin. I used a 2-part resin. The resin is the only thing that is not included in the art box, but it's epoxy resin. Please don't try to use UV resin. I've already tried it, and the sand mixture, the Druzy part, did not stick to the heart. But anyway, I poured a 2-part resin. I believe it was 5 milliliters each. Yes, so 5 milliliters of part A and 5 milliliters of part B. And as you can see here, then once I poured them, then I always use 2 separate measuring cups to measure. And that's because I want to make sure with epoxy resin, you have to be pretty sure. You have to be careful that the 2 parts are equal, the same, because if not, then the resin will not cure. Yeah, so then once you pour the 2 different parts into separate measuring cups, you combine them into 1 cup. And mix them for, I usually count to 3 minutes or 200 seconds, but you need to mix it for at least 3 minutes. Okay, once you're done mixing, then you go ahead and just set it aside. I always keep a baby wipe on hand to clean up any resin drips that come off on my gloves, and I'm using nitrile gloves. Well, these are actually some combination of nitrile and latex. I usually try to buy just the nitrile ones. Okay, then there's the sand and the glitter are in 2 separate containers, but in your package they'll be combined. So yeah, then you go ahead and mix them together. The iridescent glitter is just to give the sand a little bit of a shine, a sparkle, so that it shimmers. So yes, after mixing that together, then you will be adding some resin, but you won't be adding all of the resin. I would say just a few drops at a time, because you're just wanting it to, you don't want to pour the whole thing of resin that you just mixed in there. So you don't do that. You just pour a little bit and see if it makes it clumpy, because that's all you're really wanting is a clumpy mixture. And as you mix, then you can see that whether the sand is clumping, and if there's some that hasn't, you add a little bit more in. Okay, so when you're pretty satisfied with the chunky state of your sand mixture, you set it aside. Use a baby wipe. There, I always have a baby wipe on hand because resin can be very sticky and messy. Then I'm going to take my acrylic heart and I'm going to peel off the film that's on top so that I can pour on top of it. And I'm sitting it on top of another cup, so a small little cup. Of course, it's not easy to do with gloves, so I end up having to take off a gloves so that I can remove the film off the top. I also get my agate slice that I'm going to outline the edge with a marker. So first I go ahead and do that. I outline the edge with the marker. Now, sometimes the marker will bleed onto the surface of the agate slice, so I go ahead and use a baby wipe to wipe off any excess on the surface. Now I'm ready to decorate this acrylic heart, and I decide to just, I don't want it to be transparent on the bottom, really. So I paint the acrylic heart with this gold marker. I decide to just fill it in and keep coloring because it will look pretty with resin on top when resin is mixed and poured on top. So I go ahead and just kind of color in parts of the heart. Now here's where I decide to come in and give it a base coat of resin. And if you can see here, it's blending with the paint and making really swirly looking effects. So that came out pretty cool. Then I just take a stick, or this is a little silicone spatula, but you can use a popsicle stick, whatever you have, and just spread the resin around because you want to make sure it's covering the whole heart. Okay, once you do that, now you're ready to add the sand and iridescent glitter mixture on top, which is the last step. So be very careful so you don't pour it off the heart, which is probably what happened to me, as I ended up, not being so careful. But I just decided to put it right in the center. You can do it any way you want. You can cover the whole thing. It's just to create a sort of like a mountain of sand so that the agate slice will stay in it. So it's got to be pretty compact and in one spot. You would have to add more sand if you want to cover the whole heart. But in any case, the center area will be fine. I make sure to get every little bit of sand on there because I really want to have a lot to work with. And then I just make sure that it's high enough so that it looks like a little mountain of sand. Finally, I take the agate slice that I had painted and I stick it very gently in the center, making sure that it has sand on both sides to support it. And then I really don't touch it after that, because if I try to maneuver it around, the sand is still wet and it will come tumbling down. I believe when I go to make these kits, the kit that you will receive will have some thicker sand in it as well, some quartz, or it's just maybe granular, like larger chunks. So that'll help it when you go to stick the agate slice in there. And hopefully that will help you, be able to keep the slice in the sand mixture a little better. As a final step, I'm going back in with a marker the gold paint marker to outline the sand, just to give it more definition against the heart, and that just makes it even look more druzy with some gold pops all around the edges. So the last part is actually removing the film off of the back of the heart. And there you have your heart druzy, which makes a pretty little gift for someone you care about that you made with love, to give to another. Thanks for watching.